أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. This is the 6th chapter of the book In Search of Infinity. The title of the chapter is Hijab for a Job. I must tell you this. I was quite an outspoken person. Not that I was rude or ill-mannered, but I lacked the skill of playing around with the words. I think I'm still not good at it. It was placement time at the university, and the multinational corporations, the MNCs, were lining up in our college for hiring people. Each company had a cut-off mark. Students scoring a certain percentage were interviewed by a certain reputed companies. I was among the top 10 students of my department, which was a non-technical department. It was the week for the software companies. All the software students had lined up, most of them getting the job, some of them with outstanding pay packages. Our department had just one introductory subject of software programming, and I was not an expert at coding. I walked into the interview room, and immediately the expression of the interviewers changed. I guess they noticed my hijab. The interview began. They asked some basic questions, then they asked aptitude questions, and it was a pretty easy interview for me. When we came towards the end of the interview, the head of the IT department of that company was also present there. He said, "We like you as a candidate. We are willing to give you the job. However, there is one problem. It's your headscarf. It does not fit in our corporate culture. If you agree to get rid of it, I will give you a higher pay package." I was not shocked. I was not surprised. But I was angry. Since Mr. Joshi supported my hijab, no one ever bothered me regarding my hijab, and I had grown stronger and more passionate about my hijab. But when I heard that statement, my body flooded with adrenaline. My tone changed. If it was not the interview panel, I would have got into some serious fight with them. However, I controlled my temper and got up from my place to leave the interview table and said, "There are certain things in my life that are more important to me than your job or your money." Immediately he said, No, I was just kidding. Then he not only gave me a better salary, but till the end of my tenure in the organization, he remembered my name. And every time he was on the work floor, he would visit my desk and talk to me for a few minutes. He was head of the department. He would barely give time to the floor managers, who were at least 3 to 4 levels above me. However, he would always stop by my desk to ask me if I was okay with the quality of work and if I was happy with the organization. After a couple of months, I inquired if they had any charity programs. They had a charity cell. However, it was dormant. We decided to revive it. The goal was that we should give back something to the society. The idea was well appreciated, and we started planning for the social service unit. The company took care of registering it. We got busy in finalizing the name and logo for it. Finally, in a month's time, everything was ready to roll. We had the goodies ready, the printed mugs, t-shirts with a logo on it. People were very enthusiastic about it. We had gathered a large number of volunteers, and some people even wrote poems and slogans for it. We had one of the poems printed on the official t-shirts. Since I had some experience with charity work from my college days, I suggested we start with similar projects here: old age homes and orphanages. Later on, we moved into supporting education for the deprived children and promoted the Adopt a Child scheme in our company. After all, we needed funds to run the program. We rolled out a charity drive in our company. We printed a booklet of tickets, about 30 cents each at that time. Employees can buy as many tickets as they want, and the money would go towards the charity program. What surprised me the most is the employees at the entry level with the minimum salary, but more tickets than those at higher levels with many times the salary of entry-level employees. I remember we went to a delivery manager, a position higher than the manager in our company, and he refused to buy a single ticket. He said, "This is my money. I worked hard for it. Why should I give it to those who are lazy and not willing to work and suck our money like parasites?" How stone-hearted can someone be? Not willing to spare just 30 cents for charity. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you from the ways unknown, and the work goes on. We found an orphanage which had some 50 kids in it. It was run by a person who was a working professional and was investing most of his salary in running the orphanage. It wasn't a great salary, but he said, "I have absolute faith in God." He was a Christian. "Since the day I took up this responsibility, even if I run out of money, God would somehow make the arrangements for these kids. They never went hungry in the last 4 years." I was surprised by the amount of faith he had in God. He was an amazing person. He had such a strong faith in God that he was never worried about where the food would come from for the kids. He just knew that food would come, not a speck of doubt in it. He told us how he started the orphanage. He found an abandoned child on the streets. He informed the police and they took custody of the child. He was relieved that the child is in safe hands. However, he was curious to know what transpired with the child. Who were the parents? Why was he left abandoned? He returned to the police station only to find out that there have been no reports of the missing child, and no one has come forward to claim the child. He spoke to the police and said, "Is it possible that till the parents are found, he takes care of the child? Whenever the police finds the parents, he will hand over the child." He said, "It has been 7 years now and the police have not come asking for the child. The parents were never found." Since that incident, more children joined the team. When we visited him, he had close to 35 children living there. One particular month turned out to be a tough one for them. One of the kids fell sick and they had to spend money on his treatment, an unexpected expenditure. They ran out of money earlier than he had planned. There were still a few days to go before he would receive his salary. They were barely managing it through the day. Kids were being served a little lesser food so that they get some for tomorrow as well. However, the day came when they had no money left and no food for the children. The children went hungry for lunch. It was dinner time and no food for the kids. He tried all his sources, called his friends and foes to borrow money for the kids. However, since it was month end, everybody was running slim on the money. Kids had gathered around him. Everybody had a dull face, somewhere at the verge of crying. He said, deep in my heart, I knew the food will come. I had absolute faith in God, absolute faith. And he started telling the story of Hazrat Maryam Salamullah alayh to the kids. That how God used to send food to her from heaven. At around 10 in the night, there was a knock on the door. Someone had brought food for them. Bag of rice, lentils, sugar and other necessities. Faith can do wonders in one's life. There is a hadith from Masumin alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treats you the way you presume Him. If you presume Him to be merciful and benevolent, you will witness His mercy. However, if you perceive Him to be vengeful and taskmaster, He treats you the same way. As part of our company's charity program, we had planned to visit this orphanage. The plan was that we would visit the orphanage at least once a month, and every month we would take a huge cake to that place to celebrate the birthday of all the kids whose birthday falls within that month. This was the first time we were executing this plan. Our team of volunteers went there and we conducted games for them, brought toys for them, took memorable pictures there, and everybody had a great time. At the end of the day, we celebrated the group birthday. Everybody gathered around, sang the birthday song, cut the cake, and gave everyone a little share of it. I think this was the first time they were tasting a cold, soft pastry. One little kid around 3 or 4 years came to me and said, "Didi, is this the same food that Saint Mary used to get from heaven? I have never tasted anything so magical in my life." I had no words. I just did not know what to say. I just hugged this little kid and thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings He had bestowed upon us. From such loving parents to family to home to all the comforts of the home. Truly we can never thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the unlimited blessings He has bestowed upon us. But unfortunately, we take it all for granted. I was then temporarily moved to another city for a few months. It was some client emergency. The project was falling behind the target. I was married just 3 months ago. I refused to move. However, the company said, "You do not have an option." I guess Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a plan for me. I moved to the new location. while I worked on the project, I started looking for opportunities to do charity work in that branch as well. And I came across a hostel of blind girls. Most of the girls were fully blind and a few of them were partially blind. However, their blindness did not break their soul. They were all hardworking and preparing for their board exams, A-levels. We visited them, spoke to them, encouraged them, motivated them to reach higher levels of studies. The challenge the girls faced was writing Braille. It's the language used by blind people. They mark deep holes in a paper, and each sequence of holes represent a letter or a word. Poor girls had to write most of their syllabus in Braille, and while doing that, they would wound their fingers. Their fingers would bleed, and their papers were tainted with blood. My heart went out to them. Truly, vision is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we take it for granted. And instead of thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and utilizing our sight to the best of its ability, we spend time watching movies and TV and nonsense. We asked them, how can we help you? They said, if we can record their lessons and give them recorded tapes, it would save them the effort of writing their notes in Braille. Those days, Walkman, small pocket tape recorders, were very common. We pooled in money and raised some money from our office and bought 8 to 10 Walkmans, and a team of my colleagues agreed to record the lessons for them. It was a task by itself, since it was time-consuming. It would take at least an hour or two every day to record their lessons. However, Alhamdulillah, with our team passing on recorders among each other, we were filling in tapes upon tapes of lessons. Since there were many girls, we needed more than one tape of each lesson. Eventually, we were able to record all their lessons of different subjects and hand over the tapes to them. They would religiously listen to the tapes. Sometimes they had to listen to it a couple of times to understand the lesson clearly. I was told that they asked the hostel warden, "How do I look?" When she described me, she said that I wear a headscarf. They were curious and asked why. She told them that I was a Muslim. The next time I went to their hostel, they asked me, what is a Muslim and why do I need to wear a headscarf? When I explained it to them, they all wanted to wear a headscarf. They all wanted to become Muslim. Someone who is willing to help others and sacrifice their personal time for others and needy ones. They wanted to be that person. After a few months, my project at the office was completed and I relocated back to my hometown. Later on, I came to know that every single of those girls cleared their exams with good scores. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sometimes it just takes a little extra effort and it can go miles in contributing towards someone's life. I can imagine how happy they must have felt. I wonder where they are today, how much they have progressed, and what career positions they must be holding now. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wherever they are, guide them to your pure light and fill their heart with your love and show them the noor of Islam. Ilahi Ameen. Inshallah, we will cover the rest of the matter in the next chapter. Until then, iltimas-e dua, Khuda Hafiz.